On today's video, we're taking a look at the first wave of the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 5-inch action figures from Jakks Specific.
It's morphin' time!
Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome back to another Jakks Sonic review. Finally, I know it's been a while. I've done a ton of Jakks Sonic reviews on the channel, but I've had trouble finding some of the recent video game figures in the 4.5-inch line, which is the main line I collect, so I haven't had anything to do a video on. But lo and behold, at my Target, I found the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 center aisle display thing, and they had all 4 of Wave 1 of the 5-inch figures for the movie. Yes, these are a different scale than the figures from Sonic the Hedgehog 2, so I already reviewed all of those. These are new figures, and there are some upsides and downsides to a scale change, which of course we will discuss. I will also say that for those of you who are very spoiler adverse, I will mention things in the first trailer in relation to these figures, in particular Robotnik over here. So if you don't want any spoilers at all, like you're somehow skipping the trailer, this video isn't for you. I'm going to be going into some detail because there are some things from that trailer that will inform how I think they'll do some future figures in the line or how they did this wave. So because of that, I just want to give you a heads up. I will not talk about anything beyond that first trailer because I haven't seen anything beyond that and I don't know any leaks or anything. So we're just going to talk about what's in the first trailer in relation to these figures. But I want to put that out there for everyone. We, of course, will go over all the details of each figure. We will do size comparisons. We will do other comparisons. We will talk about the scale change. We will talk about all that fun stuff. There's going to be a nice little in-depth video on these figures, and I'm very excited to take a look at these because they're way better than I thought they would be, just on the offset of looking at them. Of course, they're still in the package. And also, without further ado, please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and hit subscribe and the notification bell to help the channel grow and us to continue doing more Sonic videos on this channel. So let's get to it. Let's start with the packaging. We'll take a look at Sonic. Of course, he is the main character. So here we got Sonic. Sonic. The packaging does show Shadow, and then Tails, Knuckles, and Sonic. These are renders from Sonic Movie 2, or at least these two are. I think this is a movie render from Sonic 1, and this is Shadow from the end of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 at the post-credit scene. The interesting part about this is because this wave, because this movie, I don't want to worry anybody because I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. This movie did come together kind of quickly. There was an actor strike that happened, and so they only filmed like the human parts of it like late last year, early this year, and then a lot of the VFX work had been worked on in advance, but this movie kind of came together kind of quick, so these first wave of toys aren't really so much based on the third movie as much as like, let's update the second movie stuff, but we did know what Shadow looked like from the end of the second movie. So on the back here, we have, of course, our little portrait. 22 points of articulation. That's probably the most exciting part about these, and we'll get into that. Sonic is on a roll, saved the world twice, but who's counting, and has 2 besties for his team, but will they be enough to handle a devastating new threat? And then, as you can see, collect them all, Tails, Shadow, and Ivo Robotnik. Yes, there is no Knuckles in Wave 1. There is a Knuckles figure. He is in this Target 4-pack. The Target 4-pack does have a different expression for Tails, and Sonic and Shadow are light-up figures, and then Knuckles there is currently exclusive to that Target 4-pack. I don't know if that pack's out yet. I know it went up for pre-order. I'm going to personally wait and see. That 4-pack could just be Wave 2, or Knuckles will be in a wave with some other figures based on the movie. But yeah, usually when a character's exclusive to a multi-pack like that, Jakks usually re-releases it. So we'll have to just wait and see. It would be insane to me if they didn't do a single pack Knuckles, basically. Alright, so Tails, looking great, looking cool. Same packaging design. Tails is Sonic's best bud, using his brains, tons of gadgets, and of course his 2 tails. He will do everything he can for his friends. So 20 points of articulation on him. We've got Robotnik. So this is what I'm talking about with spoilers. Robotnik doesn't look like this in the third movie. This is his Sonic Movie 2 design. He has a different look in the third movie. And, if you've seen the trailer, you know. The interesting part is, I can't remember on the previous packaging, you can tell me in the comments, if it said Ivo Robotnik or just Robotnik, because we do know there's another Robotnik in the movie. So maybe they're prepping so that the packaging's different. Alright, Ivo Robotnik proves that you can't keep an evil genius down for long and sets his sights on world domination. No big deal. That's a Sonic Movie 2 bio, but it's a Sonic Movie 2 look. 20 points articulation. And then, of course, the big guy. Honestly, The thing is that if I was a casual collector that didn't review stuff, I may have just wanted a Shadow figure, like off the offset, be like, oh, Shadow's the figure I want because I have everybody else. But then also, as a toy enthusiast, the more I looked at these, the more I was like, oh, we actually kind of want all of them. Anyways, so Shadow here, of course, new big guy on campus, 22 points articulation. Shadow's a fierce and mysterious foe who's determined to accomplish his goals and won't let anything stand in his way. So, pretty cool. But yeah, you got your collect 'em all down here. Was that little, that little cut-in of Shadow's eyes on all of them. This movie is very Shadow-focused, and honestly, it's time for Shadow's redemption arc. So, Year of Shadow keeps going, and here we go. Let's get into Wave 1. This is the order we'll go in. There will be chapter times in the description in case you want to jump around. We're going to go Sonic, Tails, Robotnik, and then Shadow. Yes, I'm saving the fanciest one for last because I'm very excited. He's our first movie Shadow figure. Let's get into it. Let's start taking a look at these figures. Here he is, Sonic the Hedgehog. This is quite interesting. So let's talk about, I don't know, I think we've got to talk about the elephant in the room is the scale, right? I think we got to start there. I would love to just do it last, but I think a lot of people were like, well, how much bigger are they? So here we have our Sonic Movie 3 figure, and then here is the video game Sonic. So you can see the size difference is significant. They are, they're 5 inches instead of 4.5 inch. The Sonic Prime figures are also 5 inch. I don't own any of those. I probably should at some point. I just didn't feel like collecting that whole line because, personally speaking, I didn't like the show that much. But anyways, the thing is that there's a whole line of Sonic Prime figures that are these larger size, but you can see the size difference between the video game and the movie counterparts. Now, this isn't new for Jakks because Jakks, of course, also produces the Super Mario line. So there's the video game Princess Peach, and then here is the Super Mario Brothers movie Princess Peach. So you can see proportionately the movie figures are larger. So you can see there, Sonic to Sonic, Peach to Peach, proportionally around the same size. Now, there is one key difference here. So with the video game figures for Sonic, they're about $10. The video game figures for Mario are about $10. The Sonic Movie 3 figures are $15. By the way, all these prices are in USD. They're $15, so they're $5 more, where the Mario movie ones were $20. And the Mario movie ones, I don't have anything else because these are from my mom's Princess Peach collection. But, Peach here, she's got elbows, she's got shoulders, you can kind of turn her head and waist. She's got elbows, she's got shoulders, you can kind of turn her head and waist. They basically have the same articulation, but they're like twice as much. They do have this like eye lens thing to like replicate the animation a little bit, which is kind of a different like approach to the eyes. And they sort of did a lot similar here because Sonic does have the eye lenses look, but you may notice that the regular Sonic figures have like head swivels, shoulder swivels, wrists, hip swivels, knees, and then like a ball joint ankle that kind of pivots. Whereas this guy has so much articulation. He has ball jointed head, like looks left and right, up, down, get some tilt. Shoulders move out, shoulders move 360, shoulders move in and out on a butterfly hinge. You have a bicep swivel, you have an elbow bend, you have an elbow rotation as well in there. Wrist swivel, articulating fingers. There's even an in and out wrist joint, so it moves in and out like that. You have a waist swivel, you have hips that move out, hips that move forward and back and are actually detented to hold the stability. A thigh swivel, a knee bend, which goes really, really far, especially compared to like these which don't even quite get 90. And then you have a forward and back tilting ankle and a left and right tilt. This is the most articulated Sonic figure I think I've ever owned. And unlike some of the, I think maybe the Jazzware Superposables, I just remembered those. Let me go with, this is the most articulated Sonic figure I own that doesn't feel like it's going to shatter into a million pieces. Because Jazzware's had a lot of joints in their Superposable line. This feels like that, maybe a few less joints than the Superposables, but way sturdier. Like, he's just going to stand. And considering that I have problems with video game Sonic standing, and I have problems with Sonic Movie 2 Sonic standing, and I have problems with 2.5-inch movie Sonic standing, the fact that he just... that's amazing. That is incredible. So I guess that's our next comparison is how does it scale with the 4-inch or the 4.5-inch movie 2 Sonic. So there you go. So if you're trying to figure out if you could mix and match like Shadow in with the old line, ain't happening. If it's a Hedgehog or an animal character, these are much larger. But also, let's, do the articulation check. Head swivels, shoulders, elbows that pivot and rotate, wrist swivel. Then you have hips that have that one universal joint, knee that kind of bends, and then this one has a pivoting ankle, but it doesn't really do much. Also, the entire sculpt has been redone. This face kind of feels like, toyetic version of movie Sonic. This feels like actual movie Sonic, and I love that he's not just this little smirk. It kind of looks like the box render, whereas this looks like more of his personality in the movies, which I think is great. I think it's got more personability to it. So, on one hand, I'm like, oh, I have to rebuy everybody. But these figures are so good. Or should I say Sonic? I haven't opened the other three. This Sonic is so good. I'm like, oh, I'm actually glad I rebought these because these are so much better figures. Now, the scale thing is annoying because double dipping is a problem with the Jakks line as a whole, something that I hope they continue to improve on. But I'm just so impressed by this guy that, I don't mind. I don't mind having rebought him. And also because he was 15. If he was 20 like the Mario figures, I may not have done it or may not have been as excited about it. But for 15, $5 more than what this guy cost, I'm pretty happy with this. Also, here's the 2.5 inch just for funsies. So there's our Sonics. But let's look at a little closer. I wanted to give a little more detail on this guy. I just had to get all that stuff out of the way because that was like my initial observations. One of the cool things about him, he's got the texture, of course, which we're used to. But what I love is that the joints aren't like sticking out too much. You can see the legs, like they clearly do have the thigh swivel and they clearly do have the knee bend. But like they blend in. Same with the ankle joints. Like they didn't break the sculpts to give them more articulation, which I think is fantastic. I think the messiest part is maybe the elbows, but like even then those don't look too bad. His arms don't go down any further than that. It's kind of like that's as far down as they'll go. But other than that, I mean, it's great. One thing that I find interesting is that some of his quills on the back of his head are translucent plastic. They're translucent white plastic. I thought they'd be translucent blue, but they kind of still have that blue color. And that, I think, is a cool detail because in the movies we see, when he's running, the quills light up. But when he's just standing by, there's like variation in texture and color for the quills, and I think they replicated that really cool. And I know that there's that light up version that's in the Target pack that'll probably glow through those parts, which I think is really, really awesome. But I really like it. I really like that little extra detail. So getting into this, the question is, all right, he has all those joints, right? 22 points for articulation, but how can he pose? Well, let's get him into some poses. You can have like a classic, like Sonic ready to run pose. Let's see if we can actually get him to where it looks like he's running. Let's get the classic arms out Sonic. Let's get it tilted like this. We can get his leg positioned like he's running. All right, we got an in-running pose, which to date, the only in-running pose Sonic that actually can do a running pose properly, I think, is the Nindoroid, at least the ones I have, because of the balance issue, and the Nindoroid comes with a stand. So, yeah, I think you can he do it? Yeah. All right, it's a little awkward, and you probably could do it better if you were doing your own display, but there you go. He can balance on one foot, no problem. That's pretty impressive. Do we want to get him, let's see. Let's kind of get him into that one of those crouch down, ready to, or crouch sliding poses. Like let's get him into like an action pose. Let's open the hand up a little bit. Let's see, how tilt can we get on those ankles? Pretty tilt, pretty awesome. And let's just get the waist engaged there. So there we go. There's a really deep pose. I can't get any of the other Sonics to do that. Not just to do it, but like to stay stable. Yeah, it takes a significant amount of force to move them. That's really, really cool. I'm having fun. I just opened this guy for the video, and it's like, wow. You can kind of get him into some, kind of like, can we do like a hand on, or let's see, can we do like a fist on his waist? No, not quite. His arms are still kind of restricted. The problem with Sonic character designs is the really long limbs on the giant heads and the big bodies. But, you can get options here. The open hands are nice. You can kind of have them like in a relaxed pose if you want. You can have them waving, say like hi. It's always going to have that thumb curled because they are fists that open up. But the fact that we have like articulating fingers and butterfly joints on a $15 figure. Like, that's Jakks impresses me. Their SEGA figures recently, the SEGA line they started, those impressed me. But this is even taking it even a step further. Do I have any critiques? Do I have any problems? I think this is a pretty solid figure. He doesn't come with any accessories. None of the figures do. But the Mario figures came with accessories and were $20. So I mean, maybe being 15 and just be like, look, super articulated figure. I mean, this guy's impressive. This is an impressive figure. I don't think I have really any complaints with him overall. I think he's fantastic. This is, the thing is that sometimes it can feel like doing a new scale is just kind of forcing people to double dip. Kind of like with the Mario movie, since those designs for the movie were so close to the video game designs anyways, it did feel like double dipping because they weren't that much more articulated. But these are so much more articulated than the movie 2 figures that they honestly don't feel like a double dip so much as they feel like just a vast improvement. And I also think that you could not do what this figure does in this size. I think it needed to be a little bit bigger so they could accommodate more joints. And if I had to pick one as my movie Sonic figure forever, it's this one. Sorry, buddy. You've been the one for a while, but this guy, this is just taking everything to the next step. So let's take a look at Tails and see if he continues that. Okay, this figure does something so cool, and I can't wait to show you guys. Here's Tails. So Tails here, we're going to talk about straight figure, and then we'll do the comparisons after. I just wanted to get the comparisons done for Sonic first, because we have a lot to talk about. All right, so here's Tails. You got the eye lenses. I think the eye lenses look nice. I will say with the, just last thing about the Mario figures, the eyes, I think on Peach they were fine, but on Mario and some of the others, they looked like sort of Uncanny Valley. These look nicer. I don't know what it is different, but they look nicer. But anyways, there's Tails. He's got a happy little expression on his face. It's so cute. Really cute stuff. Very, very textured, very detailed. He doesn't have any details on the soles of his feet, but that's fine. He's got his 2 tails, of course. But let's get into the articulation because, oh my gosh. All right, so first of all, ball-jointed head. So, of course, left-right swivel, but he does have that up and down. He has a little bit of tilt in it as well. Really, really nice. Shoulders move up and down, and then let's turn his head this way. His shoulders do 360, I promise. They're just hard to get around. He has a butterfly joint, which you didn't think he would because you can't see it from the front, but he actually does have it. It is there. He does have an elbow bend and a rotation. The wrist does rotate. It pivots in and out, plus the articulating hands. Though I will say, because they're less fist-like, like Sonic's thumb is tucked in, Tails' isn't. So it does look more natural with his hands open, which I think is really cool. His hips move forward and back. They wiggle out. They don't have a thigh swivel because there's really no room for it because he's got such short legs. And his knee only bends about that much. His leg here is pretty much like the same articulation style as his previous figure. But then, of course, he does have the forward and back tilt on the ankle and a left and right. So you got that. But then, so the tails rotate, which is pretty normal for Sonic Jakks figures. You guys ready for this? The tails are individually articulated. This is amazing. So they move up and down, and then they rotate, so then go in and out. So that means if you want to have his tails out like this, you can. Look at that. You can have his tails splayed out like this, like that. You could have him like, half tail, like if you want one tail down, one tail up. If you want like, them out like in opposite directions and then spinning, look at that. You can do that. I think a lot of fans of the Jakks line are sometimes frustrated by the lack of tail articulation on Tails because most of the time they're pre-posed and they're in one position. Like we don't have a Tails that can just like look like I don't know what Sonic Heroes art where he's got like them on either side. So many more options. So let's talk about, can he pose well? I think he poses not as good as Sonic because he is a little bit smaller, but he's got like his articulating tails really do a lot. Like you can have them kind of like that. You could have them out like this. They got a lot of options. I don't think he has as much range as Sonic, but that's because he's a smaller character in a lot of ways. He is the young one. He has growing to do, even though we've never seen what an older Tails would look like in media. But anyways, you got options here. I mean, it's amazing you can pose the tails around. I think that's the best part. but pretty cool. I mean, I don't think he's necessarily as impressive as Sonic in the like overall capacity, but just the tails being articulated is just so nice because it's not something we hardly ever see. Of course, here is the video game tails. This is the same style. For those that aren't aware, this is how the tails usually are. They're pre-posed, and then you have to just rotate them on an axis. So there is modern video game tails with movie tails, and then we're going to bring in the movie 2 tails. So the interesting part here, I'll just bring the 2.5 inch for fun. Interesting part here is you notice the color difference. The color of tails matches the video game a little bit closer than these figures did. And I think in the movie he was definitely more of this brighter yellow than he was this more orangish color that Jakks went with for movie 2. But also I just really like that he's got kind of the same expression because I really did like that smile he had. Just like with Sonic, no accessories. The movie 2 tails came with this gun. Can he hold it? He can, and actually looks fine. That little like shooty gun that would let him like make things float. Yeah, he can hold it, but he can hold it as well because of the articulating hands. So that's pretty cool. That's some cross compatibility if you so wish, which I think is neat. But yeah, I mean, I think Tails is great. Let's get his buddy Sonic in here so you can see the size difference. I think it's fantastic. Just the rotating tails, I think, are the best part because now he can kind of articulate himself in ways that he couldn't before, and I think it's really awesome. I think like the wrist articulation here, so you can kind of go into like a hooray, I did it kind of pose, which I think is really cute. Look at that. Look at him. He's so happy. This is amazing, guys. I mean, this feels revolutionary in a lot of ways. All right, here's the Eggman, Dr. Ivo Robotnik. This is interesting because he is distinctively Sonic Movie 2. The other interesting part is he is more articulated and less articulated than the previous figure. It's a weird sentence, I know. So first things first, I like the head sculpt. It looks very similar to the previous one. I guess we'll just bring him in. There we go. There's the previous head sculpt. I like it a little bit more. Feels a little bit more natural. I think the larger size helps. Of course, he's got the coat. The coat is segmented in 2 pieces, so there's like an upper part and a lower part, which I think is awesome. He's got some interesting hand gestures. He's got like a kind of open hand, and then he's got like a, I don't know, rock-on hand. It's pretty neat. And then he's got the gold tip shoes and everything. So pretty cool. I think overall, like, he looks good. There's definitely no doubt about it. He's also tall. I always forget that, like, yeah, Eggman's always going to be a little bit taller than the Sonic figures. But yeah, really nice detail work. Overall, just really looks good. And so we've got, you know, a head on a swivel. The interesting part is I thought it was a ball joint, and it kind of is, but it doesn't really get too much tilt at all. Shoulders move out, shoulders 360. He does have the butterfly joint. It's not as major as Sonic's, but it does move. Bicep swivel, single jointed elbow, rotation, and then a wrist swivel, and then a wrist in and out as well. Of note, you can see how the joint is cast in 2 plastic colors. Mine was actually backwards, and I had to do a lot of rotating around the joint. It does rotate at the top and the bottom, so if yours ends up in a wrong position, so what I did is I just kind of forced it around and made it work. He's got the upper torso ball joint, so you can just kind of go super wacky with it. I mean, that is the craziest joint on this guy. Hips move out, hips move forward. Hips don't really move back. He's got kind of a flat butt back there, so nothing really there. Single jointed knee, rotation at the knee, and then a forward and back pivot and a left and right. So what did I mean by he's more articulated and less articulated than his previous figure? Well, here is the previous Robotnik. And what's interesting about this guy is you can see the height difference. Definitely a significant height difference. But with this guy, you know, let's ignore he has the coffee, which this guy doesn't have any accessories because of the articulation's the selling point. His shoulders move out and they 360. No bicep swivel, no in and out, but he has a double jointed elbow. It's not a clean double jointed elbow, but he does have a double joint versus the single joint. This looks better sculpt-wise, but this technically does have more range. And then same with the hips. Like, you can do anything with the hips because of the skirt thing, but he did have a thigh swivel, which he still has. And then he had a double jointed knee, which he doesn't have. He just has a single. But you do notice that the pins are visible on the limbs here for the double joints, whereas these don't have visible pins. So this is a much cleaner looking figure, but it does have a little bit less articulation range in the elbows and knees. However, the ankles here were only forward and back, no left and right, so not nearly as nice, and everything is better than this tiny little 2.5-inch scale Eggman that I think kind of sucks. But there we go. There's our 3 Eggmans. Of course, you want to talk about scale with, here's the video game Eggman. So, of course, the biggest thing is you got to want to have scale with Sonic, right? So, just like with the other figures, he's too short for the line he's a part of. He doesn't look too short in this case, unlike some other times. But he's not quite the right height. I would say he actually is closer to be scaled with the old figures. So if you're somebody that doesn't want to switch the scales and you don't care about owning Shadow, you have this option. You could just get Eggman. And the Eggman actually fits the previous movie's figure scale. I think it's too big for the 2.5-inch figures. But it's kind of like how the 4.5 one kind of goes with the 2.5. Really nice. And the 2.5 goes with nothing. This kind of goes with the 4.5-inch a little bit better, just height-wise. But, you can put them with the 5-inch. I mean, we're going to do that, at the end. But, yeah, you have that option. But, yeah, that is probably closer scale for the second movie. And so him being based on the second movie isn't a problem because he does have figures to go with in that sense. So, there you go. And then one last comparison, because I got them on the same day. Here's another Jim Carrey action figure released in 2024. We live in weird times, but also cool times because this happened. And I guess also, just as a quick comparison, since he is like a normal human height, here he is next to a Marvel Legend. Yeah, he's going to be a little short. So he's not like, what would he do? 1/12 scale. He's definitely a little bit shorter, but like I said, he'll work with some of the older figures better. Just how the Sonic line goes. But yeah, there you go. Eggman, Robotnik, size comparisons. I know you're all waiting for Shadow. Let's get to Shadow. And here he is, Shadow the Hedgehog. I am so excited to see this movie. the trailer had me so excited because Shadow. For those unaware, I always want to point out this trivia. Jeff Fowler, who directs the Sonic live-action movies, he started working as a director in digital animation fields with the Shadow the Hedgehog video game. So this is like a full circle moment for him. And I'm so excited as someone that played the Shadow the Hedgehog game 20, it was 2005, almost 20 years ago. Anyways, that Shadow game is burned into my memory because I played it as a kid. And on top of all like the other great things about Shadow, including Sonic Adventure 2 and, his character growth in 06 and stuff. But I really like this character still. It's funny because the movie's marketing has just reawakened the Shadow love for me and many others. So anyways, we got Shadow here. He looks, I don't know, he just looks perfect. Is perfect? Am I allowed to say perfect about a toy? He just looks phenomenal. I will say, off the bat, he is reusing parts from Sonic. The torso, I think the upper torso, yeah, the whole torso is different because of course he's got to have his fur there, which is different than Sonic's. His wrist things are different. I think his hands are the same. His shoes are different. And then, of course, his head is different because, whole different thing. Still confused to this day why Amy thought that Shadow was Sonic when she first saw him. I was like, Amy, the spines are going in a different direction. Anyways, not even in a supersonic way. Just, they're different. So, looking at the figure, he's got, all the details. I mean, the part I love about these movies is that, we started with Ugly Sonic. Now we just have video game design, walked through a texture field, and walked into real life. It's incredible. Of course, the guy's eyes. The eye lenses aren't as super noticeable on him. I think they kind of blend really, really nice. He does have, of course, his painted red hair throughout. He's got, of course, his shoes. And my favorite part to always look at on a Shadow figure is the bottom. I love his shoes because they're like these jet things. There's the video game look. They're even more painted than the video game ones were. It's so cool. I like this character. So on that, articulation-wise, he is the same as Sonic. So he's got the big old rotating bobblehead, ball-jointed head. Shoulders move in and out. They rotate. They move up. Bicep swivel, elbow, wrist swivel, in and out. Opening hand for fist. He's got, of course, a waist joint. And actually realize it's a ball joint. On Shadow, I think on Sonic it doesn't move as much, but it actually has a little bit of back for Shadow, which I think kind of works with like, kind of like the way that Shadow moves is like his forward momentum. Like you can kind of get forward momentum man going on here because he's got a little bit of torso back. Look at that. The fact that like we can do kind of like that weird thing, like the Sonic 06 sort of attack pose thing, which he does in the trailer. Like that. Look at that. That's amazing. Okay. It's just some of the little things. Like you just can't do that with this guy. You just can't. So anyways, you got the hips move forward on the little detinted ratchet things. So they're a little stiff on Shadow compared to Sonic, but they do move out, thigh swivel, knee bend. You also have there's a little bit of knee rotation, but then you got the ankle that moves forward, back, left, right. So this means if you want Shadow in like a running pose, because he has kind of like a different sort of run than Sonic does, because he does like the sliding thing with his jet boosters. You can do that. You can kind of have him sort of pose like that. Can we do the one leg balance trick, like he's coming around for his teleport kick that we also see in the trailer? And that was my thinking that was like kind of like sort of driving me crazy about the trailer in a good way, was like the fact that we saw like just moves and shots just straight from the games, like just recreated in a movie. Let's see, can we balance him out? Can we balance? And he has a bigger noggin than Sonic. Don't let Shadow hear me say that. I'm sure he might get offended about it, but let's see, can we balance him out? I want to try to balance him on one foot, because Sonic could. Shadow can, right? Hey, Mr. Ultimate Light Form, work with me here. I might need to try to, I don't know what I'm trying to do pose-wise. I think I'm just trying to balance him, just so you can be all like, I am the best. There we go. Look at that. Completely unsupported balancing on one foot. These figures are amazing. Sonic and Shadow in particular really stand out. But let's get him like can we get him in a cool crouch pose, like I'm going to have my revenge because of things that I won't say in case people don't know Shadow lore that want to see the movie and not have spoilers, because I can only guess that things will happen because I'm not 100% certain. Anyways, there we go. Look at him. Isn't that amazing? Gosh, this figure's incredible. Okay, so let's get him into neutral pose. We got to do some size comparisons naturally. It's what we expect from my... you got to expect this from my channel, is you're going to get just dumb comparisons at times. But here we go. Here's Shadow, and here's Shadow with all of his movie toys from the second movie post-credit scene. Yeah, just kidding. There wasn't any. And then here he is with Video Game Shadow, of course. Really, just it's amazing when you do this, and you're like, oh, wow, that's literally the same design. It's just... it seems like such a no-brainer, but a lot of movie adaptations of video games tend to like kind of go back and try to reinvent the wheel, and I'm glad the Sonic movies already tried to do that, and then Paramount listened to the backlash and let the artists do what they actually wanted and stop giving weird studio notes on Sonic having teeth and stuff, and it all worked out, and look at that. Amazing times. Another comparison, can he wield a gun? The answer is yes, he can, because he has articulating fingers. So if you're wanting to flash back to 2005, there you go, Shadow with a gun. If you want to do the opening cutscene, here's another gun. If you're wondering where I got these guns, they're from the Spawn munitions packs that McFarlane Toys does, which I totally bought for my Spawn figures and not for my DC figures that are legally not allowed to come with guns. But anyways, there you go, Shadow with a gun. Totally doable because of the articulating hands. And it honestly doesn't look too bad. Like, that's almost a perfect fit, which is kind of crazy. I'm sure you could use other weaponry. I just picked these two because I was like, yeah, But there you go. And then the last comparison that I can do, really, the last one, just with him and Shadow-related stuff. Of course, we have to bring in two completely unrelated action figures. Just completely unrelated things in my collection. There's no reason I picked them. I just chose them at random. Absolutely zero correlation going on here. If you get the correlation, put it in the comments, and I'll give you a little heart. So anyways, that's Shadow. Of course, now we have to compare him to everybody else. So here is Sonic, and they look so good together. I love it. And of course, Tails, and then we're bringing Robotnik. So there we go. That's wave one. I am sad we don't have a Knuckles yet. Knuckles just got hit by a shrink ray. Okay, guys? He just got hit by a shrink ray. and he can't move his ankles. I might end up just buying that Target pack just to get Knuckles and not have to wait, because that's the piece that's missing at the moment. But yeah, I mean, I love these. These are terrific. Absolutely just stellar figures and feel like a step forward for Jakks. I was worried when we got listings that they're going to be 5-inch figures for the video games, because I do love the 4.5-inch line, and I still want them to finish that out. There's still some key characters we're missing. But if we're going to get video game figures that articulate like this, count me in right now. So overall, this is a fantastic first wave. I am super impressed. When I initially heard about the scale change, I bemoaned it. I was begrudgingly like, we have to change scales. I'm honestly all here for it if they're going to be this dang good. This is pretty amazing. I will say, and this is ironic because when I reviewed the 4-inch figures for Sonic Movie 2, I said the same thing. I think Robotnik's the weakest overall. He's still a nice figure. It's just the design kind of limits him in some places. Tails, I think, would be in number 3, only because, it's, again, a design thing, but he is a little bit less articulated. Sonic's in number 2 because this Shadow is just amazing. I think this Shadow is my favorite of the wave. May just be because he's the fully new figure, but I just think he's fantastic. I think the extra detail on him is amazing, but all these are great. And for $15, you really can't go wrong with them. They're honestly super solid. Also, speaking of solid, I didn't show it in Tails' section, I don't think. He can stand without his tails being on the ground, which is an accomplishment, because every other Tails figure I have to figure out how to balance the tails because the tails weigh him down. But because you can adjust his balance with the ankles, he stands. I'm all here for a whole line of Jakks Sonic figures for the video games, for the movies, whatever, in this style. This is the future here, and I'm here for it. I'm all here for it. So if you're going to be here for it, be sure to hit subscribe and the notification bell if you haven't already. Kind of decided to be a little slick there. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this review, and leave a comment down below. I really am looking forward to doing more Sonic videos, and hopefully availability continues to get better so that I can continue to bring you guys more Sonic reviews. That's the only thing holding us back from doing more videos like all the time, because it's just hard to find the toys sometimes, and I hope that Jakks can continue to improve on that. On that note, though, if you want to continue the conversation, keep up with future Sonic news, come join our live streams every Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern here on this YouTube channel. We talk about news, reviews, we talk about comics and movies and sometimes video games, and it's a good time. Come join, hang out. And if you want to continue the conversation with the things we discuss on this channel, hit the Discord server in the link below. Come join us. It's fun. We've got plenty of members. We got a large, huge community. I found out about most of the details of these figures from members in the Discord server, so come join us. It's a good time. Also, if you'd like to help support the channel directly to continue videos like this existing, please consider joining as a channel member. There are perks like early access to videos, member-exclusive live streams, and special shoutouts. Let's give some special shoutouts to our channel members now. Special shoutout to all of our channel members, including our Captain Tiers, Spin-54, Toma K, Master Ben 95, Jamie's World, Jack Move Johnny, Yukino Sayuki, Michael Flores, Steel, Aaron, Rabbitman, Shigs, Jess Hood, Vigo, Common Pikachu, Geets, Andy Stutz, Joy-Con Girl, Dazagdo, Ben Odinson, Forever1000, Izuto727, Philippe Saruno, Star Warrior Robbie, Kustav, Cameron Meter, Has Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss Edit, Isabella Lawrence, Digital Realm, Stay at Home Meatbag, and Kyle. Thank you all for your support of this channel. If you so wish, you can find me across most social media at Soundout12. You can find my awesome graphic designer on social media and Discord at DarkClaw643. And you can find Hero Club at hero-club.com for news, interviews, reviews, and more. And until next time, this is Soundout saying, give me Wave 2, I can't wait to see this movie, Shadow's the coolest, and where's my Knuckles?